It's Adam and welcome to my channel. Here's part 2 of my bedroom houseplant tour for January 2018. I'm going to start here with some more bedside plants, and I'm going to show you this Dracaena marginata first, and it is beautiful. I just love it with its red leaves. I cannot praise this guy enough. I've killed several Dracaenas because I was misinformed about how to take care of them, but I decided to buy this one because it was so big, and I repotted it into this beautiful pot. Sorry, it's a mess on the floor, but it's beautiful. I just love it so much, and it is thriving under my care now. So I'm very happy about it. So I also repotted something into the green version of this pot. So you see this pot one more time, and then here's the green version. And this is not thriving. This is my dwarf Cavendish banana tree, and I can explain, guys. I was moving my plants from one house to another, and it was a really stressful process. It was a whole just like living situation problem that I had to take care of, and in the stress, I may have forgotten to water this plant a couple times, and it's just now showing me signs. And I'm so sorry. I promise you I will take care of you. And I am not good at taking care of this plant apparently, because the main trunk died over the summer, as you can see. And then these are just the babies that popped up around it. So it's giving me another chance, and I'm failing again. I'm so sorry. But yeah, there's 2 new plants and then this little stalk coming out, so we'll see how those do. I think I might have to divide them. I'm doing more research on their care, but this is my dwarf Cavendish banana, and yeah, so hopefully it does well. So moving on here, this plant looks very skinny, but that's just because it's winter. I just got done watering it. This is my passion flower incense. This one is not an edible variety. I mean, I did try the fruit, but it's not very tasty. It's very sour, but it also has just a very bitter taste to it, and it's not very good. But it is a very beautiful ornamental plant, so I'm happy to have it in my collection. Although I am just now noticing these white spots, and I'd like to know what they are. But, yeah, it looks very bare because I trimmed it back, I cut it back, I let almost all the foliage die off, but what you're left with is a bunch of new growth buds that are starting to grow, and when I put it outside in the summer, this plant is going to get big and full and bushy and have the most beautiful purple flowers. Actually, I have a picture on the tag. This picture does not do it justice. The flowers are more of a deep purple, and they're just, God, they're amazing. Like, I cannot begin to describe to you how gorgeous they are, and it's such an easy plant to take care of. Just make sure it doesn't dry out in the summer. So moving on to this windowsill, I know a lot of you are going to love that I have one of these plants, but I'm not too thrilled about it. This is the Pelia peperomoides, however you say it. Hopefully I said it right. And I bought this as part of the big Black Friday shopping thing that I did, and it was usually one even this size is at least like 10 to 12 bucks, maybe even 20 at some places. I got this for $3, and it's got a tiny baby popping up and then another one right here. And, you know, I thought I was going to grow to love it, and it does nothing. And I don't know if they're naturally just slow growing, but it does nothing. It's dropped a couple leaves, and it just looks skinny, and I kind of don't like it very much. Maybe eventually I'll grow to love it. I'm still going to take care of it because it is one of my babies since it's part of my plant collection, but I don't know. I don't know why it was trending, and I don't understand all the hype about it. Maybe it's just because it's kind of a newer thing, and like the houseplant thing, especially like in the US, these are more of a more recent rise to popularity. But I understand why monsteras have been such a trend, and why some other houseplants have been such like a trend lately, but not these. I don't get all the hype and all the appeal. So next up, I have a Gasteria Flow, and if it looks a little bad, I saved it from completely rotting. It was almost completely brown, and somehow I brought it back to life. There's not much to be said about that. This is a leaf cutting project from a Kalanchoe beharensis fang that I've had for over a year, and it's very slow because I completely neglected it for a while, but it's doing okay. This is a stacking cressula or a stacking jade plant, the Cressula perforata. This is labeled as a variegated one, but I don't see much variegation. So maybe not, but I don't know. It's still a very pretty plant, and I love the amount of offsets that it produces. It is just making babies all around, and it's such a pretty plant. I really want it to be in a hanging basket. I want it to start trailing down because I want to put it in a little basket, or maybe like put it somewhere where it can drape down something because it's such a pretty plant. But upright, so far it looks really nice, and I'm kind of obsessed with it, and I love the kind of like square kind of diamond shaped patterns that it makes. It's beautiful from above and the side. And then next up, this is a pot that I'm propagating, of my donkey ears, Kalanchoe gastanus bonniare. And it's starting to produce roots on the sides of the leaves. And then today when I looked at it, look at that, there's a little baby forming. And if you don't know about donkey ears, what they do, I put them in the Mother of Thousands group of plants, kind of like the Kalanchoe bryophyllum group, because they produce plants around the edges of the leaves. These ones usually just produce them on the tips of the leaves, but I see a bud right here, and I just noticed that there are two forming right there. And there's also a little baby plant in here as well that I'll transplant into its own pot when it gets big enough. Oh my god. And I dropped things. Hold on one second. I'll be right back. So it's really not a plant video or a typical day for me unless I drop and destroy things, but it's okay. I think my plants are used to falling, so they don't really get damaged. So here is the other plant that I dropped, my Mother of Thousands cuttings, which I got from one of my plant friends. Thank you, Molly. I have a lot of these anyways, but I always love getting more. So that's that. And then here I've got a couple of X-Acto blades because I can't find the actual, part for the knife. So I've just been holding the blades very carefully and cutting my plants that way. But I kind of started to organize my plant table. I'll show you that after I show you the rest of this back windowsill. But here's just an overview of what I've got. And then, so I'll show you guys back here. I've just got a little empty jar. I'll put something in it eventually. And then here's some leaf cuttings of a couple of succulents. And then there's like a sedum. I don't know if that's how you say it. It's some sedum hybrid. I believe it's called like Green Glow or something. I don't know. I'll tell you when I figure it out. But, and then there's Pearl One Non-Burger. However, it is the kind of purple Echeveria. Cutting, and then there's some little succulent leaf cuttings which are so leggy and kind of sad. I don't even know what kind of plant this is, but it's a little cutting off of my main plant, as you can see. My trailing orchid trail, miniature African violet, and then there's Grape Treat and my little vanilla trail, Rob's vanilla trail. Semi-miniature trailing African violet is sporting a flower today. And then there is this little pot of cuttings that I made. Now, one thing that I've always wanted was a crested succulent. And if you don't know what that is, it's kind of a genetic mutation where instead of producing a stem like this, it produces like a flat, wide stem that's like paddle shaped. I've always wanted one, but I've never really gotten one, and they tend to be a little more expensive. So these Fred Ives leaves, I plucked a couple off to propagate them. Actually, they fell off, and these just happened to be the two that fell off and started spreading babies. So I moved them to their own pot, and then eventually I noticed that this one was growing really weird, kind of like a flat stem. And then the leaves were kind of placed in a weird spot, and there were two heads coming out of this like flattened stem. So I posted it on a plant group asking if this looked like a crest, and everyone said yeah. So it looks like by coincidental chance I ended up with a crested succulent. I've got a pot of these pearls, which are from a new plant, which most of you are already familiar with. And then underneath my table I have my soil bin, an extra pot, Garfield, I don't know why he's down there, and then some old Lush boxes with some cornstarch packing peanuts, because I like to put these in the bottom of my pots as a space filler. And yeah, so I guess the next things I'll show you before I show you guys my plant table, which will be the last part of the video, my African violets. I got this one from Hy-Vee, and I don't know the variety. This one is my Alamo Explosion, I believe. No, this one is. This one is my Mermaid Kiss. There's still a dead flower stalk left. This one, none of them are really flowering much right now except for Alamo Explosion. This one just finished a big flower show that was just ginormous, and that one is Ellie Green Rose. This one here is Harmony's Sparkling Money, and this one had a single flower earlier in the month, but it's gone now. My Alamo Explosion has a little flower that is not at its peak, but it's okay. I forget what some of these are, but I love them all. This is Mindy Brook, and then this one I believe is Colorful Bird, and I forget which one is this one. I think this is the Lucienne one, the one that looks like stars. I'm not sure. There's so many of them. I forget sometimes. Forgive me. And then by my table, I have this bucket which has an old, dead. It's really not giving me any new. Oh, there's a little new shoot there, but this is a poinsettia, and I don't know if it's gonna really give me any new flowers or any new side shoots. But this one definitely is. So I'm gonna have to do something with this. Eventually, but yeah, that one might stay alive for me. So that's part 2, so I'll see you guys in part 3.